All right, Sal, on to the injury report. The Barnes Firm Injury Report, brought to you by the Barnes Firm Injured Call, 1-800-8-million. The number one name I'm watching here, because I feel like we have a couple of players we expected to be out, and then we have a couple of players we'd hoped would make progress. And Ty Johnson has missed a second consecutive day of practice, so like it is potentially not looking good for Ty Johnson.
I agree with that. Last week, even I was holding out hope when he had 2 days of practice, and I think he actually got to limited on the last day, but he never made it, be able to play in the game. And I have a shorter week here, but I figured, okay, maybe another week you get Ty Johnson back in, and just hasn't happened this week. And with the short week, you wonder. Now, obviously, Ty Johnson could just kind of seamlessly go in and be a part of the game plan. But there is something to be said for practicing and game plan and reps and, understanding everything, especially against a team like this that's going to bring pressure and get after the quarterback, So I think at this point, we'll find out from Sean McDermott today, but hasn't looked good for 2 days for Ty Johnson.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at safety, this might be the biggest who's going to be there kind of thing, because with no Jordan Poyer, Damar Hamlin is close to a return, and you've got Jordan Hancock and Cam Lewis. What would you expect the Bills to ultimately decide to do?
It's a great question. Matt Bove and I really talked about this yesterday on It's Always Game Day in Buffalo. People can hear the podcast because we go a little bit more in depth on this. But the basic, Cliff notes for me is I think the Bills have generally operated where they feel comfortable having somebody back there with communication that understands exactly what, needs to be done on a play-to-play basis. And I think last week they lost a little bit of that when Jordan Poyer went out and Jordan Hancock went in. So you can look at it one of two ways. To me, you could say, okay, Jordan Hancock gets a full week of reps. He's going to be better in that situation. And I could understand that. I think Cam Lewis, though, has done a really nice job when he's had to fill in there. And I think he would very well, be a guy you could turn to here. The problem is, if you do that, you might be losing your dime safety in those situations because Cam's got to play regular safety. But you also have Darnell Savage on the roster now. Let's not forget him. And then when it comes to Damar Hamlin, that's just the X factor here for me. Like, does this team trust right away to put Damar back there where he did start last year? He started against this team in the playoffs last year, and he gives you a certain floor, but man, he has not played in a while, right? There's a time on task. I do think Damar, though, would help on special teams and have him activated